Welcome to historical evolution of digital libraries. Digital is a concept introduced with computers since its invention. The data or materials stored in computers are in digital form. When we trace the history of this digital form, we reach very close to the invention of computers. Libraries in olden age was built with buildings and with collections. So from the physical existence of a library, over a period of 5 to 6 decades time, the library is liberated from the four walls and moved towards the concept of digital libraries. So let us see how this concept of digital libraries after the invention of computer is evolved. Historical evolution of digital libraries has not been linear. The digital library is an eclectic science. Its contribution for evolution of digital libraries have come from several disciplines leading to multiple conception of digital libraries. History of digital libraries, therefore, is the history of variety of different types of information systems and technologies that have been considered as digital libraries or their precursors. Information systems and technologies are very heterogeneous in their objectives and its scope and functionalities. As such, the evolution does not follow a single path. In short, information systems described in this module are still practiced in one form or another using newer technological solutions. So let us look back the period when computers and microprocessor technology, which is the basic foundation of computer, has started. As you are aware, there was a second world war in 1940s, and when any world war is in process or happening, generally new invention will not be noticed or will not be announced. Similarly, the computer has to wait in its lab till 1946. World War entered in 44-45. After that, each invention has come to limelight. So the first electronic computer, which is called ENIAC, ENIAC, that is Electronic Numerical Integrator and Calculator, which was built in a laboratory, and the laboratory itself with all equipment was huge in size, about 30 feet or 50 feet, as big as an auditorium, which was using about 18,000 vacuum tubes and 1500 relays, and it was weighing like a huge building, like 30 tons. But this was the history of computers, the huge size, magnitude of computer, and people has to move from one device to another to make a small calculation. This was invented by John Moseley and Presper Eckert. After ENIAC in 1946, the next year 1947, the next version, advanced form of electronic computer, that's EDVAC, electronic discrete variable automatic computer is invented. There were 6,000 vacuum tubes, 12,000 diodes, and it almost consumed 65 kilowatt of power, which was also weighing very huge, about 7,850 kilograms. All this happened because vacuum tubes are very, very big in size. The test for making it small, or the attempt to make it small, was done in laboratory, Bell Laboratory, where in 1947 transistors were invented. Transistors are small in size compared to vacuum tubes. Transistor decrease the size of the computer, and at the same time the speed and capacity of your computer is increased by using transistors. Now the next computer was UNIVAC, which stands for Universal Automatic Computer, and this is treated as the first commercially launched computer. The other computers which I mentioned, ENIAC and EDUAC, was only in lab, but UNIVAC was commercially available. This used the transistors, and which was really compact in size when compared to the distributed vacuum tubes in EDUAC and ENIAC, and it was used as United States Bureau of the Census in 1951, and commercially it was used up to 63. This was also designed by Eckert and John Moseley. In 1958, and I am not very sure about who invented, but two people's names is simultaneously. One is in Texas Instruments, and other is at Fairchild Semiconductors. In 1958, invented separately something to make short of these transistors, which is called integrated circuit, or in short we call it as ICs. So ICs become the basic foundation of modern computers, which are very small in size. So this is invented by Jack Kilby at Texas and Robert Noisy. This microprocessor has our integrated chips, circuits, given birth to microprocessor, Intel 8080A processor, which was introduced in 1974. And if you look at that, 46 to 66, 56, 66, 76, 30 years, it was all, the challenge was before computer was the size. And Intel introduced its 8080 processor. This becomes the single chip microprocessor, all microprocessor integrated into one. And it uses 8-bit microprocessor single chip. And this Intel at that time, it is called 8080, a number. Since then, various microprocessors, that research was going on to make it more compatible and increase the speed. And 80286, which was used in the computers when it reached in India in 1980s, and 80386, and then Pentium 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 and 4 was famous, and dual core processor, which is used right now in our computer. And the latest you can see also quad core, that is 4 times the core. And this is the journey of computers. After that, personal computer becomes very common, and it was used in office as well as home. Along with that, another technology also was evolved, that is digital storage technology. The devices are generally two types in nature. One is removed from the main device, that is called removable data storage. The other one is non-removable data storage devices. And magnetic storage media, etc., is designed as a storage device, which is record analog audio signal, and audio and video magnetic storage devices are including computer store digital data. All these magnetic storage media started using 3 billion of data per square inch in a tap. can fit in a single magnetic disk. So this was the initial level. Magnetic disk was used, then hard disk, floppy disk, tape drive, cartridges, optical storage medias, that is CDs and DVDs. And invention of DVD was another in the storage area, one of the major invention in 1982. That one came as a CD-ROM, storage disk, optical disk for just storing, and CD-RW, that is rewrite. That means you can read once it is stored, first case. Second stage, you can read and write again into the same disk. That means reusable. And the capacity of the storage disk is about 700 MB. And digital video disc was introduced later in 1996. And this is called DVD-R or DVD plus R, which was R was released in 1997 and plus R was released in 2002. And a DVD can store now 4.7 GB of data. That means storage technology also was promisingly improving over years. Then flash memory devices and USB drive for carrying data becomes a habit, because it can plug into the USB port of any computer and automatically it can be detected. I am carrying this presentation to my computer right now with such a small device, USB drive. And we are not sure that how long USB drive will be there, but as on date, this is very handy storage media for professional, which uses metal oxide semiconductor. The storage is based on this technology, and also it is known as pen drive, USB drive, etc. And computer also has a memory that is called RAM, and there is other memory that is called non-volatile memory, RAM, read-only. So 3.0 USB is the latest, which can support up to 1 terabyte storage capacity, 3.0 USB flash drives. So invention of computer we have seen, data storage technologies we have seen now, these two. Now comes how this turn into library, or how library is influenced by invention of these technologies. Online databases and information retrieval system, IRS, is checked on these devices. The online databases are through information retrieval system, and this becomes one of the important landmark or precursor to the digital libraries. Online version of existing indexing and abstracting services such as biological abstract, Index Medicus, chemical abstract, all this become popular along with its print version. So every biological abstract they used to print as well as make online version. Now you may notice that many of this kind of publishing industry is moving towards only online version. The first online service started commercially called Dialog, and that is what is the service which is offered on it. That means the services to the user can be offered through online media, and databases with the text of full length documents, full text digital collection were available. So it will be available in CD-ROM as well as some site called Adonis, IEEE Electronic Library, IEL, ABI Info, UMI Business Periodical on disk, General Periodical on disk, Space World, US Patent, all this started appearing on its digital version. The evolution of computer-based information storage and retrieval system began in the mid-1970s. And IBM has a storage and retrieval system which is called IBM Storage Information Retrieval System, STAIRS, STAIRS. and Bethel Automated Search Information System called BASIS, BASIS, and others like Inquire, BRS Search, DocuMaster, Assassin, Status, CAIRS, CAIS, MicroCDs and ISI, Advanced Non-Numerical Information Store and Retrieval Software, all these were introduced. With the help of computer scientists, the computer science for storing database management system evolved. In short, we call it the DBMS, database management system. And example of such systems are Ingress in our desktop Microsoft Access, MS SQL Server, MS Fox Pro, MySQL, an open source software of DBMS, NoSQL, very latest, Oracle, PostgreSQL, SQLite, MongoDB, Crescenda. So these all become popular DBMS or similar kind of storage systems in software. Now software is available for storing, storage devices are available for storing, computers are available for helping the storage and retrieval. Now what is required is storing the content into that. For that, digital imaging technology is used. The first digital image was produced in 1920 and charge coupled device in 1969 at AT&T Bell Lab by Willard Boyle and George Smith introduced. So digital document imaging system which employ computer hardware and software to scan and store images of document in digitized form. So this can be traced as the first historical point where the digital conversion is taking place. Once you have the digital content in soft copy, as I mentioned in the last slide, which uses computer hardware and software to scan and store images of document in digital format, this content is uploaded into a server which is called IR, Institutional Repository. And institutional repositories service providers are to harvest metadata from growing number of other IRs. So we can create our own institutional repository IR. We can also harvest metadata from other IRs. This becomes a major catalytic initiative movement. IRs are very popular in the modern library. And if we look at which is the best solution for creation of digital library, create an IR for your institute to start with. And this also had standard software to do that. OAI compliant open source software for IRS like DSBase or ePrint or Fedora, Greenstone, GSDL. All this software came to support the institutional repository building. And publishers' response to IR was good. Now for sharing we need to use a different technology. We have server with the digital content, and sharing, if you are following an international standard called OAI-PMH, that means our software should be compliant to OAI-PMH, Open Archive Initiative Protocol on Metadata Harvesting. This is considered one of the major initiatives that proved as catalyst to growth of the IR. Harvesting different IRs becomes a habit for professional to mine data, and this protocol provides OAI-PMH an interoperability framework based on the harvesting of metadata, or OAI-PMH defines a simple set of metadata that can be facilitate federated resource discovery. Number of services were launched to harvest metadata from growing number of institution repository. For example, Cross Archive Searching Service, ARC, launched by Old Dominion University in 2000. It is the year 2000, the search service is launched, and Oyster launched by the University of Michigan Libraries. Digital Library Production Services in 2002, and Google Scholar in 2004. I am sure that you are using Google Scholar for your research needs. So this is how it is evolved. And when we are talking about 2004, we started about talking about Google Scholar as a single portal which can provide different articles to the user in open access mode. I just mentioned that the content can be shared with others, and whether you should charge a fee or not, that was a question philosophically asked in this model. There came one of the landmarking movement called Open Access Movement. In 2002, Budapest Open Access Initiative launched Open Society Institute. In 2002, again, Project Romeo and Project Sherpa launched for open access. 3. Mandating deposition of articles by faculty in open access repository in the University of Southampton. And Department of Electronics and Computer Science of this department decided in 2003 the article published by the faculty member should be made available public. And the examples of such OAI compliant open source softwares are ePrints from Southampton University, which was introduced in 2000, CDSware launched by CERN into same year, and meanwhile MIT also developed, which becomes very popular, most sought after digital library building software or IR building software, that is called DSpace, designed in MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, one of the highly ranked technological institute in the world, in 2002. Then the University of Virginia and Cornell University started developing Fedora, but it is not very common. So what is the use of all this software? The software help you to preserve and share the digital content and indexing, storing, etc. So publishers' policy on self-archiving also got changed. So all these years we have seen that the technology has taken a leap, jump towards progress. Meanwhile, the internet technology is introduced in 1969. 4 universities connected their network each other, and which was developed as ARPANET later. This happened in the same year when man landed in Moon, 1969. So internet was invented when there was a erstwhile USSR launched a rocket called Sputnik missile. That time the university was in search of a network which cannot even get distracted during bomb attacks. So they started storing the information in different network for different universities which connect each other, and the most popular technology of internet is born. And this historical, from one point to other, you will see that every year new services are introduced. In 1974 to 84, the TCP/IP, a protocol used for transmission of data, becomes very popular. And there are other networks which got merged into the first network of ARPANET, and finally that has gone to a worldwide kind of network, that's called internet. Once content is stored in internet, means any computer which is connected to network. So if content is stored in a network, that can be accessed by others by using a small software called web browser. I don't think I need to explain web browser in detail, but we are using that different way. IE is there as a browser, Mozilla is there, Firefox is there, Google Chrome. These are all the free browsers now. Now you can install any of these browsers and access data. The browsers are being upgraded regularly for added functionality, such as email client, support for Java, ActiveX control, ability to be inbound document without having to plug in. All these worked, web browsers work to access data in internet, and that kind of document system is called World Wide Web, which offer crucial advantage with the availability of ready to use, publicly available, user friendly graphical web browser for all prevalent platforms. This browser solved the maintenance problem, allowing developers to concentrate fully on the server side and not to bother with client side. That means if you have a browser version, it will only use that to access data. Many of the time its job is to get data, and very rarely also it sends data back to some server. So from computer, from internet technologies, we have come to a software, a program which can use as a browser to get information. And I have already named a few browsers. And this concept was introduced, hyperlink and development of World Wide Web. Even though this memory extender, MEMX, MLX, Xanadu, etc. was available between 45 and 65, 91 only, 1991, World Wide Web by Tim Berners-Lee. Berners-Lee is also called Sir Berners-Lee. Sir is a title given to Sir Isaac Newton, like that, Titan. So Tim Berners-Lee got this title for this invention, Berners-Lee, at the CERN laboratory. So this works as a uniform resource locator, web browser. And it uses a language in the background called Hypertext Markup Language, HTML. And for transferring data, it uses a protocol called Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Technically, we need not know all this in detail, but what is required is a browser use HTML language to display and give information to the user. And for this, a protocol work in the behind along with TCP/IP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now, we have seen computers, storage devices, then various kind of digital resources creation. This all gave birth to electronic resources, that is machine readable catalog. In 1964, we have MARC catalog, and 70s formation of Union Collaborative New Library Network, online service like Dialog, Orbit, BRS, Datastar in USA, Blaze, Paragon from UK. All this happened in 1970s. DIN-D in Germany, Europe, DAN in Europe. All these are information resources as well as electronic resources, as well as the connector which they declare to connect with each other. Now, bibliographic and full text database on CD-ROM was supplied in 1980s. Some examples of Dialog, STN, etc. You have to buy STN CD-ROM to work with it. And emergence of internet and World Wide Web, computer, network, other infrastructure, after that internet and WW has changed the library perspective. Publishers started using internet as a global way to their publication to the international community. So every publisher was earlier in print, associated with in print, has moved towards other models. Now they are they started giving electronic resource over this. This has given to the history of digital library, and the more details is covered about the historical perspective of digital library is covered in another module in this section. With this introduction, I think the birth of computer along with network etc. has given digitization, has given birth to electronic resources that led into digital libraries. Thank you so much.